Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So as requested by you, let's talk about how to give our guinea pigs the best life into their senior years. And no, this video doesn't have to be depressing. Our piggies age just like we do, and whilst we are gonna cover some health topics, we'll also talk about why older guinea pigs make such special pets. And the focus will be on practical tips for preventing health problems and keeping your piggies young, fit and healthy for longer. And if you have young piggies right now, there may even be some general mistakes that we can correct right here, right now, instead of waiting until they get older. But what is old for a guinea pig? Well, the standard advice is that senior years begin at 4 years old. But in my experience, age is just a number, and it varies how much piggies really show their biological age. You could quite easily have a fit and healthy 7-year-old piggy be mistaken for a 4-year-old, but in general, all piggies need some extra care and attention as they age. So let's get started. One thing that you might want to review is their cage setup. Now, it's always recommended to provide a single level open space for our piggies, but some cages have different levels. And it's also popular to add a loft section to a C&C cage, for example. If your piggies have had the same cage setup all their lives, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be able to adapt to it in their elder years. Things like ramps, raised areas, and other obstacles can prove a challenge for older piggies, particularly if they're showing signs of arthritis. And arthritis, by the way, is super common in piggies over 3 years of age. So I'd say it's something to monitor. When I used to have a loft in my old C&C cages, I would have older piggies either just stay on the ground floor, and I also had a situation where an older piggy just stayed in the loft area, which was obviously not ideal because it was so much smaller than the overall size of the cage. And because of this, I would recommend keeping your main feeding and water stations on the ground floor level in the cage where they're easily accessible. Also, for cages, please bring your older piggies indoors if you can. Don't separate them from the herd, but consider whether you can move your setup inside or maybe get a whole new indoor setup. There are so many reasons why I highly recommend keeping guinea pigs indoors. It's probably my number one piece of advice to new owners. But in relation to older piggies, having a stable temperature and humidity will extend their life and make them more comfortable in their older years. If you really can't move them indoors, then there are some things you can do to help regulate the conditions. So things like extra hay, blankets, those snuggle safe heat pads are good for when it's cold. You can use frozen water bottles for when it's warm, but have a backup cage inside as well for extreme temperatures, bearing in mind that older piggies will be more susceptible to things like pneumonia and heat stroke. If you've got a shed set up, then those can be really great, as long as they are insulated, and perhaps having some air conditioning in there will make it even better. Next up, let's think about bedding. So fleece is always a great option for senior piggies. It's just more comfortable for them to walk on than, say, shavings or other paper-based beddings. And something you might find with older piggies is that they are more likely to pee and poo in one or a few spots. So if fleece hasn't worked for you in the past, then maybe try again. The downside of this, though, is that these favoured toileting locations can need changing more as your piggies age, especially as we don't want to increase the risk of them getting urinary tract infections or bumblefoot, which can be both caused by sitting in their own pee. So it is important to adjust your cleaning routine and keep on top of any hot spots in the cage. Fleece is super easy to spot clean, and that's one of the reasons why I use waterproof fleece pads in my cage. They are just so easy to switch out and replace. Another benefit of our piggies getting older is that they usually become more placid, friendly, and I would say that they seem to enjoy our company more. So if you've never done that much cuddle time with your piggies, then try again with them as they get older. You might find that they learn far more easily to calm down, relax, and enjoy lap time. I also find that older piggies appreciate warmth more, so cozying up to you where they can feel your body heat will be soothing for them. Perhaps you might be wondering about adding to your herd and whether that's the right decision if you have senior members in it. Now, I've definitely been a bit nervous and a bit wary of this myself, like when we got Pedro when Lyra was already 6 years old, but based on my experience and as long as you have a big enough cage set up, then I would say go for it. Younger companions can encourage our older piggies to play, move around more, and generally be more social and interactive. Senior piggies are also fantastic at helping younger herd members with taming and understanding not to fear us humans. I swear that my piggy Callie here learnt off Pedro to appreciate and enjoy strokes and cuddles. Next up is diet, and for older piggies the key things are maximising hay and reducing veggies slightly. You can encourage them to eat more hay by increasing the number of hay stations in the cage, and you can also experiment with getting forages or using different types of hays in combination, such as timothy, orchard grass and ryegrass, to give our older piggies more variation and keep them interested. And for veggies, I found that some older piggies do not cope well with eating loads and loads of fresh vegetables at once. It can bring on bloat and other digestive problems that are really hard and really stressful for us owners to overcome. So I recommend giving less veg or spreading the veg out more throughout the day instead of giving them a massive heap all in one go, because we just know that they will eat and eat and eat and not stop until they physically can't eat anymore. Also, it sounds kind of weird, but monitor their poop as well. If you think they're getting soft poos or mushy poos, then withhold veg and withhold other treats as well. Just feed hay until those poops return to normal. Also, there are some supplements that we can give our senior piggies. Vitamin C is a funny one. I would only give it as a supplement to an older pig if I thought their health was compromised and if they weren't getting enough from their diet. There's various reasons behind this. If you want to ask me about it in the comments below, then please do. Other supplements you can give are related to arthritis, digestion and bladder health, like the Oxbow ones you might have seen. Avoid any supplements that recommend you dissolve them into their drinking water, and avoid any general multivitamin type ones, because there's a chance we could overdose on certain vitamins with them. Okay, let's talk about the vets. So because guinea pigs are so good at hiding illnesses, it might be a good idea to start doing regular health checks with an experienced exotic vet every 6 to 12 months. A good vet might well notice things you don't, and age, of course, is the #1 risk factor in a lot of health problems. Having said that though, and if you don't have access to a good guinea pig vet, it doesn't hurt to familiarise yourself with common piggy illnesses so you know what to look out for. And I will link my new video on recognising the most common health problems down in the description, which I highly recommend giving a watch. It probably covers 90 to 95% of the most common symptoms that we can be looking out for. Of course, one of the main telltale signs of a health problem is a drop in weight. And although we can expect to see some natural weight loss in older piggies, do weigh your piggies. Whether they are senior or not, weigh them weekly and daily if you suspect something is wrong. Bear in mind that weight can fluctuate as much as 30 to 40 grams throughout the day, so try to weigh them at a similar time when you do it and keep a record to look back on. One other thing I've shown in some of my videos lately is my piggies drinking water from a syringe. It sounds kind of weird, but they seem to enjoy it, and it is an absolutely fantastic way to get them used to the syringe should you ever need to give them critical care or other medications in the future. And remember, it's not just about them either, it's about us practicing and having the confidence and the skills to give them that level of care should they eventually need it. Most of all though, guys, enjoy your older piggies, and remember they rely on you to care for them, and it's a privilege to give them the love and attention they deserve into their senior years. And you really can have the most wonderful bond and connection with your older piggies. So that is all for this video, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. Let us know down in the comments if you did, but that's all for us for now. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.